Hello and welcome back to the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. It's been a while, about 3-4 months. This is a kickoff episode. The podcast never dissipated, but we're bringing it back. It's going to be under a new structure, different type of release schedule, different type of goal moving forward. But the podcast is alive and well. We're back. And in order to bring it back effectively, I was thinking about this last week, but there's only a couple ways to really do that. And you being here is, I think, one of the most critical pieces of that. So, everybody, Brett Ender, he's back.
Yes, let's go, baby.
Is this number 4 with us? At least
It's got to be at least 4, potentially 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just wheeled me out when you needed me.
Yeah.
So, I love it.
Yeah, no, and I think that what makes this connection so interesting is it's always been this way. You draw out the things that need to come out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only a couple people that can do that.
Definitely.
I think that, you can do that. I've talked to Matt Johnson last week also. Like, I want, as part of like this bring the podcast back into the frame thing, I think he needs to come on.
Yes.
There's just certain conversations that need to take place before we can kind of get back into our rhythm. But I'm glad you could make it, man. Thank you so much for coming today and taking the time.
Dude, of course, man. And we haven't, what's cool for the audience too is we haven't, like, we go through these seasons of our friendship where we'll be probably on calls 5 times a day. We know exactly what the other person is up to. And then there's also these seasons where we're both kind of just taking care of business and getting shit done. So, like, it's almost that I've been more so, we've texted a little bit and had a couple calls, but I've more so just been following your journey into MMA and mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu kind of from afar on social media. So I'm excited just to hear a lot of this stuff from you. And I think that's the beautiful thing about a podcast is, like, you can always set it aside, take care of business, and then refocus on the show too. And we're doing that with Meat Mafia as well.
I find that to be interesting that this is all kind of happening around the same time frames.
Absolutely.
Which just kind of is confirmation for me as well. Like, these things all, like, ebbs and flows in seasons, like, they all kind of, if you're in alignment with people and brands and their values and their morals, it's kind of ironic how it just fits together at times.
Yes.
I think this is a pretty unique situation where that's kind of happening for you guys too.
Yes.
And to what Brett just said in regards to the audience, and if I'm playing footsie with you today, I'm sorry, my legs
You always can.
super straight. But in regards to the connection with Brett, the way that my brain works with Brett is like, he told me, this is back in like October, November maybe. You're like, I'm just locked in on Noble. That's where I'm at.
Yep.
And it was like, cool. And so, like, I don't need to check in. I don't need you to check in. If you need something, I know you'll be like, dude, I really need to talk about this or that or whatever. But outside of that, it's like he's locked in on Noble. Also, I like, and we've talked about it on here before, but like, you're married.
Mm-hmm.
There's a different focus that has to take place when that's occurring.
Definitely.
And I think as a friend, if you can't have grace and space for that, you kind of suck. It's like if I'm crawling up your butt 24/7, it's just me not having awareness around like, hey, I'm probably not the most important thing in your life right now, which should be the case, right? And I think that we just have that unique understanding of each other.
Definitely.
Where it's like, I don't worry about losing our friendship or our connection, just because I think we're so aligned and like we have these Super Bowl things in our lives that are critically important. And I'm focused on mine, you're focused on yours, and I know you got my back, I got yours. It's kind of simple in that way.
Yes. And those are the best types of friends to have. And there's seasons to rest and there's seasons to really sprint and run up the scoreboard. And, I know we'll get into all of this, but like, being in your mid-30s, trying to learn a brand new sport that requires a different level of dedication and focus, me trying to build this supplement brand and correct a lot of things and get things into a great spot, that requires a different level of concentration and focus. And you kind of hyper-fixate on those things, but at the same time, you always have time for your friends and your brothers and the people that matter the most to you too.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's I think once you lock in on one or two things, all of the like noise just dissipates, and it just naturally occurs. And sometimes it takes action too. Like I can't sit here and say that I haven't actively cut things out of my life, and it really wasn't out of any type of malice. It was just like, hey, that's not serving these greater goods anymore.
Yes.
Being my faith, my fitness journey with what I'm trying to pursue now, and my finance journey with business. Like, if it's not in alignment with any of those things, then what purpose does it really, really serve?
Definitely.
And so, I think you go through these seasons of life of shedding is what I call it, in order to like rebloom.
Definitely. I think something that I struggle with too is like just trying to balance being like an ambitious man and having these worldly ambitions and things that I want to accomplish while I'm alive. But then I know you've had your own journey with faith, and I see a lot of the stuff that you're posting. I'm excited to dig into that. Or like I'll also read scripture and I'll get hit with some of these passages that I don't want to hear, where I'm like, I need to be serving and showing up for certain people or even things that add zero benefit to my life. And I don't mean that in a callous way. So I struggle with that too, where I'm like, I have to pour into my own cup to fill my own cup. But at the same time, I think God also, he wants us to do things that are really inconvenient to our own goals and just love on certain people too.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm still trying to actively work through. And I know you are too.
Yeah. I've been stuck in that like wheel for a long time, actually. We've had a lot of conversations offline about like who necessarily deserves that time and who might not, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the tough part about that is like I'm not necessarily sure it's our choice to make all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if God repetitively like puts these situations in front of you, is he trying to teach you boundaries to say no? Or is he trying to show you like, no, I still need you here?
Yeah.
Right. That's a difficult thing as a man, I think, especially if you're empathic in any way, to try to, work through. I think for me, where I'm getting to is like once I've started to really understand my purpose on a deeper level, God has given me certain gifts, I believe, to see if like my efforts actually matter there.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, that's when I slowly start to, withdraw. And what's cool about it is if my eyes are wide open, God will say, no, 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 like you're withdrawing from the wrong thing here. Or if I'm doing the right thing by withdrawing, it kind of, again, just dissipates on its own.
Got it.
It takes care of itself. And so that's been interesting for me to kind of work through and walk through. I think that where I'm finding most of my like servanthood, if you will, to be useful is in the youth. Because they're so malleable, man. I'm not saying that once you get of age, you can't learn and grow and change, but it's much more difficult. And I'm not sure that my message relates as well
Mm-hmm.
to that age group, if you will, or that, that type of person in the same way that it does with like a kid.
Definitely. I
So
think that's something women misunderstand about men a lot too, is like you hear this all the time with like women that have maybe been dating a guy for a long time and they're like, there's these certain things that he does, and if I could just like change him, he could be so good. And I think the harsh truth is that I think probably by the time you reach like 28 on, like 90% of who you are as a man is going to stay that way. Like I do believe that radical change is possible and God can heal people, and
right.
you could really like just gnaw at some of these demons so hard that you can change that. But for the most part, like to your point, we really are kind of like rooted as who we are as men at this point. And but as kids, yeah, there's so much opportunity to change and be a good example. And some of the things that we're still learning about mindset now, I'm like, damn, imagine if I had grasp of that when I was like 15 years old and I worked on that stuff, where I would be now. That's really exciting to pass that on.
Right. Yeah. The goal is for the future to be better than us, right? It doesn't even have to be like my bloodline or my kids. I want everyone to be better.
Definitely.
But you're right in the sense of like, I know how hard it is to change at 30. The benefit and what I've come to realize is like the core of me as an addict, it was still the same,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was still persistent. I was still somewhat maniacal. I was still caring. I was still loving. I was just kind of placing it into the wrong arena. And I think that I didn't have to change those things about myself, right?
Yes.
My core morals or values didn't have to shift. I just kind of changed where I allocated them, if you will. But you're right. Like it is much more difficult to change with age. And I realize too, like anybody that talks about mental, emotional health always goes back to childhood, right? It's like, well, it's because these things happened in my childhood. That's why I am this way today. And then it's in my head, it goes to like, okay, well, if I can impact someone's childhood, maybe that will impact how they are in 10, 15, 20 years. in
100%.
a positive way.
Yes.
Because you don't hear many stories about people's mental, emotional health journey where they're like, yeah, like I really attribute this to my mid-30s. Like you don't hear people say that frequently.
No.
They're like, oh, when I was a kid, or this happened, or that happened. And that's why a lot of therapy, the first thing you do is work through childhood. I'm not saying bad things can't happen in your middle age. Like, of course they can. But by then, you're like, to your point, you're kind of rooted in what and who you are. And so they impact you in a certain way versus like a child. There's so many roads they can take. So if you can impart that wisdom on them at a younger age, hopefully they can take a better road.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also like the mindset of you just not overcomplicating it, keeping it simple, like just realizing, hey, I love speaking to kids. I love being able to be a positive impact in their lives. I'm not going to fixate on these friends or people that keep trying to get filled up through me. Like I'm not even going to gossip about it. I'm going to try and speak discerning truth to them, so I've at least like done my piece there, but I'm not going to waste any more energy. I'm just going to like pour into the people that I actually can have a positive impact on and just keep it as simple as that.
It's interesting you bring that up too, because I driving up here today, and you know this about me, and the people that are close to me know this about me, but like I'm quick to go down a rabbit hole of just like I'll rant to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I post it on my story. Sometimes I just keep it in house. But that happened to me today, driving up here. I had this thought, you know, the physical fitness space is massive, right? There's so many things that kind of fall into that. But I think one of the things that really frustrate me, and I'm not a personal trainer, right? I've been very clear about that. I don't want to be one. Doesn't interest me. But I would be so frustrated, I think, if I was a personal trainer. The amount of people that come to you and they say, you know, hey, what do I need to do to look like this or perform like you or perform like them or whatever the case is, and you give them that information specifically. Like, this is the path. This is the process. This is what it looks like. This is what you have to do. And 3 months later, they reach out and they're like, I'm not happy with my results. It's like, understood. Did you follow this part of the program? Well, no, I didn't really like that. Oh, okay. Did you eat these foods at these times? Well, no, I didn't really like how that tasted. It's like, okay. And so I find it to be like one of these things where it's like, that is someone's job to give you that information and to watch you not do it over and over again and then fall short and then get frustrated with you.
Yes.
It's very similar to what we're talking about within like the recovery space or even like a mentorship space of any kind. It doesn't have to be recovery. It doesn't have to be weight loss. It doesn't have to be physical fitness. It could be business. It could be just trying to help a younger man come into his own as a man. I think you and I, what's interesting about both of us is we've both played around in all of those spaces in some capacity, but they're all very similar. And like you try to give what you can. If they take it and apply it, sometimes it turns out really cool and really great.
Yes.
But more times than not, the information that's shared isn't applied, right, for a consistent amount of time. I've had to learn to detach from their outcomes. That's been hard for me.
Yeah.
Because egotistically, I go to like, I gave them the info, right? They didn't do it. Now I'm frustrated with like them as a person or as a friend. And I've learned to try to detach from that. And it's like, to your point, I spoke my piece, I gave my info. What they do with it is up to them.
100%. Yeah, even with you, like we could take the example of you choosing to do the 200-mile races in 6 weeks, right? Like the inception for that was it was when you were over 300 pounds watching this video of Nick Bear signing up for the first Ironman. So like you're kind of like you're drawing inspiration from this guy, but at the end of the day, it was like this mental and spiritual shift in yourself. And that's what I would imagine is so tough about being a coach is like even for that 100-mile race, Matt Johnson could probably like give you some inspiration. He's really giving you the training plan, but the rest is it's really up to you to like flip that switch when you're 87 miles in and you still have another lap to go and your legs are just completely broken off. Like that only comes from you. And I would imagine that's what's so tough about being a coach is it's like, it's really on you and it's really on me to make that change. And a lot of times the best people are the people that you've kind of talked to a little bit about the things they need to do. You don't hear from them for like 2 to 3 months and they pop back up or they post a picture of themselves and they're just like shredded and totally different because they didn't need to check in because they had already made that spiritual shift and knew what they needed to do and just followed it to a T. But that's on you, which is so That's what's so tough.
Well, I think both of us have had a cheat code in life, and I think it's a gift. And I think we played athletics at a higher level
Yes.
because it's the same as that. Like a coach can tell you proper technique, fundamentals. He can teach you the film, like what this guy's tendencies are. How are you going to face, like for you, like this right-handed batter versus this left-handed batter? Where does he like the ball? Where does he not like the ball? Is he good on breaking balls? You have all of this information. It is up to you to deliver.
Yeah.
If you don't deliver, he hammers you to right field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or left, depending on what side of the plate he's on. Football is very similar. They give you all of the information. It is up to you to put that into practice. So I think for us, conceptually, it's easier to make that jump.
Yes.
We understand that. If we have the information and we don't apply it, it doesn't end well, right? And I've never looked at a coach that said, and I'm sure you've never done this either. Like if you're pitching and a coach is like, hey, this left-handed batter, he can't turn on the ball if it's too far inside. He'll swing at it. He thinks he's Barry Bonds, but he can't get around. You've never like said to yourself, well, I know better than that, so I'm going to throw it right down the middle of the plate.
100%.
It's the same as if someone gives you nutrition advice and is like, hey, you're eating too many carbs and too many fats. Your protein's too low. These are the foods you need to eat in this amount. But these people will literally be like, well, I don't really think that's right. And then they go their own route, and then it's all of a sudden my fault, right? Well, he was training me. It's like, dude, I told you how to do it. So that's why, for me, and this is where it gets a little maniacal and probably annoying to people on social media, I like almost incessantly show my routine. Like it's like, oh, it's probably annoying. It's like, damn, he got another pump today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he took his Noble today. Oh, he's doing this today. Oh, he's doing that. Like but it's no one can look at that and ever say like, I'm not consistent, right? And then when they come to me and they're like, hey, I don't understand why this didn't work out for me. I'm like, well, I know why. You weren't consistent with it. And so there's an accountability that comes with like, I can't imagine being in someone's shoes like Nick Bear. I've thought about this so many times.
We've talked about it a lot too.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good topic.
He has to. But that's the kind of man that like, we've talked about it. So I can't help but respect.
Mm-hmm.
And I give it, like, people have mixed feelings about Matt Johnson. You know where I stand with him. Like, I love him to death. You can say whatever you want. He's going to show up and he's going to do the work. He might go crazy and bitch about it and be mean and an asshole and then show a lot of love, whatever. You don't know what you're going to get. But he's going to show up and do the work.
He does the things that he says he's going to do.
Period. And so for me, I aspire to that. Like, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. Because what the people that really want to change, that's who they're looking to. That's why Nick Bear was so impactful to me. I didn't have to reach out to Nick Bear and say, hey, what are you eating? You know, how many times are you eating a day? Or like, do you only run 1 day a week or 3? No, it was right in my face, dude. I didn't have to ask. I wanted to change so bad. I just emulated whatever he was doing.
Yes.
To the best I could. Right. And I think the people that really want change, that's what they do. So I aspire to be that, because the people that really want change, they're probably not even going to reach out for a while. They're just watching. Right. The people that reach out and ask for help, a lot of times, they're not ready for that information.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are, but a lot of times they're not. They're just watching in the background. And then, like to your point, they pop up one day and you're like, oh shit. And then they reach out and be like, hey, I've been keeping up with you for like the last 7 months, and I'm just been trying to do what you do, and it's really paid off for me. Those are the wins.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you're like, oh hell yeah. And then it's like, that's why I post every day. So if it annoys you, sorry, not sorry, don't care. But it's for that guy or that girl that's on that pursuit, that path. Because that's what I had.
Yeah. I think to your point too, we all I think you and I have probably even talked about this in past episodes, even the times in my life where I've wanted to like get myself into better shape. Like, I think I intuitively already knew what to do. Even people that aren't super plugged into the nutritional space, it's like, all right, probably need to stop eating the processed food. I probably need to eat like 3 to 5 meals, smaller meals a day, animal protein, a vegetable, a good carbohydrate source of white rice and potatoes. And then now and today, you just go to Claude or ChatGPT and literally get a macro tracking plan, buy a food scale. It gets delivered in Amazon the same day, and you can be off to the races. Like, even some days for me where I know that I've set myself up for failure, where maybe I haven't cooked a meal or gotten like Matt Lupe's meal prep service or something like that. I'm like, well, I could still drive at lunch. I could go to HEB, get pre-cooked chicken, a pre-cooked rice bag, bring it back to the office, microwave it, and still hit my meal plan for the day. If I choose to not do that or go to Jersey Mike's or something else, that's purely because I just don't want to, and I'm not committed enough to my goals.
I had this thought on the drive up here too. It's so aligned with what you just said. It comes down to this battle of moments versus tomorrow, right? And I'll try to explain this, and it might not make sense to anybody, but it makes a little bit of sense in my head. You either live for the moment or you live for tomorrow, right? And I think I hate seeing these posters like, maximize life today. I think people twist that the wrong way. And they're like, oh, that means like I should just do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, right? I don't believe that to be true. I try to focus on tomorrow and then decide my moments based on how I want to be tomorrow.
Yes.
Versus like how I want to feel right now. Because what I've learned about myself is if I focus on how I want to feel right now, my tomorrow sucks. Whereas if I focus how I want to feel tomorrow, my moments are awesome, right? So it's like it's kind of working it backwards versus forwards, but I don't know if that makes any sense what I'm trying to say.
No, it does.
And so it's like if you're out there and you're trying to do something great or big, focus on how you want to feel tomorrow, right? Do you want to be proud of yourself tomorrow, or do you want to get to tomorrow and be like, I wish I would have capitalized on my moments yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, there's no guarantee for tomorrow, but I've had a lot of tomorrows show up.
Yeah.
Right. I've had more tomorrows show up than die today.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So like, what are you betting against here? Like what odds are we playing?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that for me, that's really paid off. There's so many people out there that I've been close with or involved with or friends with or dated, whatever, situations where it's like they aspire to this thing, but they can't get out of the moment.
Yeah.
Like right now, I want to feel good. My friends are doing this. They want to have this experience. They want to do these things, and I want to do that right now. And then you get to tomorrow, and it's like, I'm further away from my goal than I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's real simple for me in my head to back that into your moments. Like, what did you do in those moments when you had the opportunity to change, grow, or succeed? And then you chose not to.
Yes.
Like, that's no one's fault, but it's on you.
It's on you.
And I've had to learn to detach from that. That's not my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with people that have embraced moments to have a better tomorrow, and then they consciously make the decisions to no longer do that.
Definitely.
It's like you've already seen it now. You already know what the outcome is. You already know how successful you can be. You already know how fit you can be. You already know how like amazing you can be as a mentor or a leader in your specific realm. And you're actively choosing to not do that anymore. Like that isn't on me. That's on you.
Yeah.
But it's this concept of moments versus tomorrow. And that's why I'm really against the saying of like, all we have is today, because I think people twist it the wrong way.
Definitely.
I've had a lot of todays, but I've also had a lot of tomorrows, right? And it's like, how do I want to feel tomorrow? I'll base my decisions today on that.
Yeah. I think living for today should really mean like maximizing the 24 hours that you get, and also being in the present too. I think that's what most people are misconstruing. Like when you're in the room, be in the room. Like when you're on the podcast, just focus on being able to help facilitate the best conversation that we could pull out of each other as possible. Don't think about, the difficult business conversation you're going to have 3 hours later. Just like lock in right now, or lock into that meal or that training or the way you're going to show up for your wife or girlfriend, significant other, whatever. But in the back of your mind, also think about the fact that these habits and the things that you're doing are setting yourself up for a better or worse tomorrow. Or what I've been thinking a lot about since the new year started December 31st, 2026. That's what I've been fixating on. That's kind of been my tomorrow. Because like, do we have 300 days left? Like even if you've listened to this and you've like shit the bed already on your nutrition, or you haven't gone to the gym or started the business or whatever, dude, you still have 300 days to just crank.
Yeah. I go back to, how many times in my life, and for audience reference that hasn't followed my connection with Brett or Brett's connection with me, we've known each other less than 3 years. I thought about that on the drive up here too. I'm like,
that's incredible.
Mind-boggling. The volume of things that have happened between both of us in under 3 years is insane.
Yes.
But when I think about that, I think about all I've learned from you. There's one thing in particular that there's a lot of things, but one thing in particular I reflected on today that I've learned from you is like, you have a better ability to compartmentalize than I do. and you just kind of alluded to that. I don't know if you probably picked up on it, but you were like, hey, like right now, be present in this moment. We're focused on this podcast regardless of what's coming in 3 hours. I've struggled in that arena. I've struggled to like not let this part of my life or brain infiltrate this part and that part and this part. And you know that better than anybody. You've watched it kind of deteriorate things around me if one thing's off. And I've really learned in the last year, and I think what helped me was hyper fixating on one thing and saying that one thing is the top priority no matter what. So if anything gets in the way of that, I'm cutting it. That hurts, it's hard, but that's what's helped me learn to compartmentalize. Because now I can take all of these things and say it doesn't feed to that, so I'm not letting it into any of it. But you've kind of helped me learn that along the way. And it's been so difficult because I think a lot of it's rooted in control for me. It's like, I want to control all of these things. And the reality is, like, you can't control everything in every moment. You can just control this thing in this moment.
Yes.
To the best of your ability. And there's even things in here we can't control. Like, them cameras might die, battery might go out. I don't know what could happen, but like, we can only do what we can do. And I've had to really dial into that. And I think you've helped me teach that or learn that.
Yeah, what's helped me a lot is I started listening to, probably like 2 weeks ago, I listened to this interview that Novak Djokovic did.
Okay.
And I'm like, I should probably, as I'm listening to his interview, he was like a sage talking about his mindset. I'm like, it probably makes sense to study from the greatest tennis player of all time, because when he was a younger guy, he was like a big hothead, would smash his rackets, throw matches away. And now he's got the most Grand Slams of all time. And one of the things that he said in this podcast, I'll send it to you. He was like, I probably have way more negative thoughts than you do. The only difference between you and me is that I've trained myself so much that like I kind of know how to cut the negative off when it pops up. Or maybe I stew in those thoughts for like 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, whatever. But then I'm just on to the next thing. And I'm like, I feel like that's way more realistic than just this default positive thinking, because it's not even good to be positive about every situation, but just figuring out, all right, this happened. I could let this thing spiral. What's the next move? And the perfect embodiment of that is like, you blow your knee out and you're immediately like smiling, happy, shoot. And you probably weren't after it happened, but like shooting peptides, talking about your recovery. I'm like, you basically turned your life kind of into like this test tube where you're constantly getting to explore your own mindset and put this stuff into practice.
Yeah, I think so. I love that you shared that example of Djokovic because of this. Not Djokovic. What's his last?
Djokovic.
Djokovic. Joker.
Serbian,
Joker.
yeah.
Whatever. J, silent J, who knows? Here's why I think that is so important. And I have an additional filter I run these thoughts through, because I would be lying if I said like there wasn't a moment when that happened, or multiple moments in that process where I'm like, really? Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, all the questions that you think I would ask or someone would ask, like, they've went through my head. The filter that I put them in, though, now is like, can I use this for good? Like, that's the question I ask. And if the thought that comes up can be used for good, then I immediately apply it to that.
Mm-hmm.
If it can't, it's got to go. It's got to go. Because I think back on my journey, like every single possible thing that has happened in my life that wasn't like, that didn't feel good, it's led to something great.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's, for me, that's what applies. And it's like, I remember, so Saturday is when it happened, right? Gold medal match, jiu-jitsu tournament. It's my second tournament.
You won your first one.
Won the first tournament. So I was really excited, headed into the second one. And the mindset was just like, I need to go back to back, because like, was it a fluke? Right. That's how my head works. I'm like, I need to do it again. It's probably why I did the second 100 miler, on top of a million other things. But I'm like, I need to go back to back. I need to prove that I can do this again, right? And I'm back and I'm doing it, and I'm working a move that I'd done in practice with my coach multiple times, and I come around the backside and the knee goes, right? And anybody who's ever been injured, like in that moment, you're not forecasting the future. You're just like, probably some sort of explosive, vulgar word comes out of your mouth, and then there's a moment of like, oh no, and then there's some silence, and that's kind of what happened. And then I realized my knee had went back into place, And I had a minute there to reflect, and I'm like, okay, in this moment, what do I want to tell my kids in 30 years? Like this moment right now, what's going to matter in 30 years? And in that moment, they asked me, like, do you want to continue? And the answer was obvious. Yes, let's go. Because that's what I wanted to tell my kids. That's what I want to tell my sons. Now, if it was my little girl, I'd probably be like, no, honey, let's go get ice cream. You know what I mean? But my sons, like, they need to know that's going to happen, and you need to step back into the arena. It wasn't about winning at that point. It was about continuing. And so I went back in, and a minute later, it blows out again. Except this time it doesn't go back into place. And I'm like, all right, message heard, God. Like, you gave me the opportunity to do what I needed to do to tell my story. It didn't go back into place. I'm not supposed to continue. So that was the end of that. Walked off the mat, got my stuff. I had support system there, which was incredible. And like I knew when it happened, and I really knew when I came off the mat, like you could look at my leg and it was not in the right direction, doing the right things. I've blown the other knee before. I know what it feels like. And pretty quick it was like, I need to go to the hospital. And so I get to the hospital, I'm driving to the hospital, and I just had this time to myself. It was about an hour and 20-minute drive. It was just me in the truck. And it was like, what do you want to do with this? Like, this go one or two ways. You can spiral, you can go negative, you can bitch, you can moan, you can cry, you can make a post and get all the support and attention in the world and everyone feels sorry for you, or you can say, no, I don't need any of that. I got God, which is my truth. That was the thought process. And so when I walked into the emergency room, it was instant for me. I'm smiling, I'm joking with the nurses. I'm like, no, this is the route we're going. You know, and anybody who knows me knows I'm in recovery, I'm sober. First thing when I walk in, okay. She's like, okay, we're going to get you like, have you had any negative reactions to opiates? Like, do you want morphine? Like, what do you want? Because we're going to need to give you something to reset your leg. And I'm like, I'm sober. I can't have any of that. And that was hard in that moment. It takes me back to when I first got sober, and it was the ribs and the hip. In that moment, it's like, what really matters, right? What story do I want to tell? That's the thing people need to understand. In these moments, you have to be able to forecast and say, what is the story I want to tell? And be truthful about.
Yes.
Right? In that moment, it's like, nah, reset it. Just send it.
Just do what you need to do.
Send it.
So was it dislocated?
Yeah, it was out.
And
She
you
couldn't find,
Dude, are you kidding me?
No. She couldn't find my patella when I first got in there. That scared me a little bit because anybody knows anything about the leg, like the patella tendon is pretty important. She couldn't find it in my left leg. And that's when she's like, oh no, like we need to figure this out. And she's like, well, this is God working in a million ways. This lady had blown out both of her knees before. She's also, she was a PA, so a physician's assistant, which in my opinion are better than doctors in a lot of ways. And she's like, do you mind? Like, you just start messing with my leg. I'm like, well, it can't get much worse. And so she hops up on the bed and she starts like, you know, and she's like, how does that feel? And I just looked at her kind of like, look, we're not going to talk about that anymore. Right. And she's like, okay. And it's like 4 minutes. She's going back and forth. And then finally she's like, okay, you ready? And yeah. And it, you know, it did its thing. It was, you could hear it. It was like, and I was like, well, there it is. And she's like, there's your patella. And I was like, oh, thank God.
The feeling of it going back in is the best feeling too.
100%. 100%. Because it like, at that point, like my leg is like locked. Like, I don't know. You can kind of see it in the pictures. You kind of can't. But it's like everything was just turned out or in, I guess, in theory is the right term. But like, I knew it wasn't right. And so like when she got it back in, it was like, oh, thank God. But even then it was still positive. It's like, all right, that was step one, right? Or is this step 7? Depends on how you look at it. Step 1 was getting injured. Step 2 was getting there.
Yes.
Step 3, like, but for me, it just became a process. And I was like, I get to document this whole thing and I get to shed a different light on this kind of thing. I also knew in that moment, before any of the CT results came back or anything, I'd made the decision, like, if this requires surgery, I'm not doing it till after July. Like, that decision had already been made. So it didn't matter. The reason is, like, July is my fight. That's my Super Bowl in as far as like my like physical goal for the year. If I get the surgery tomorrow, I can't train. I can't recover fast enough. I can't get back. So I'd already made the decision, like, I'm going to learn to figure this out and deal with it, whatever that takes, in order to fight in July, and then I'll get it repaired.
Mm-hmm.
So going into it and having that clarity, I think, is important when you're in life, like being able to compartmentalize and say, this is what we're focused on right now. How do I get there? Okay, this is what needs to happen next and next and next and next. And that's kind of just what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you tear anything?
ACL's torn. MRI's today or tomorrow. I don't think I'll make it back in time today, this afternoon. Probably going to be tomorrow morning to confirm MCL and meniscus. But ACL's cooked. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? There's plenty of stories out there. People can make a lot of things happen without certain ligaments.
Definitely.
And not in an arrogant way, but like if they can do it,
why can't you?
Yeah, what? Like, what do you mean? These people that go and do these things on torn ligaments, like they haven't done a lot of things that I may or may have not done, you know?
Yes.
So it's like the mindset there was just like, it doesn't matter. Lindsey Vonn, right? People are giving her a hard time. Like, she should have never, she's got to know her limitations. Do you know why she's in the Olympics at that age? Why I believe she's in the Olympics at that age? I believe she's in the Olympics at that age because she's constantly trying to find her limits.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to do that is that's what happens.
Yes.
Right? You're pushing your limits hard enough to know what they are to get to a place where, like, sometimes bad things happen. But what if, I guarantee you, like, I don't know for sure, but like, I guarantee you from my perspective, what went through her head is like, what if I pull this off? Then what's the story? What's the story I want to tell? Right? All these other people are going to project their own limitations on everybody. Well, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. My doctor said I should have stay off of it for 3 months. I'm like, that's great. That's wonderful. I'm proud of you. Like, next. I'm not doing that. So you can't let these things infiltrate you if you're trying to push to that next level. And I think that's what happened with Lindsey Vonn. She's just like, I'm going for it. And it didn't pan out, right? But I'm more impressed with her than I am with whoever wins. I don't care who wins.
100%.
She went for it. She got back in the arena. I think she got life flighted off that mountain twice in 1 week. Like, it's like, but that's the story she gets to tell.
Absolutely. And to your point, too, the surgery will always be there. So you either get the surgery now, fight's definitely off, or you can prove that there could be a chance that you could rehab this and fight. Or if for whatever reason it doesn't pan out, you can get the surgery later. But that's always the option.
What if I get a first-round knockout on a blown knee in July?
100%.
What if? That's how do I get there? How do I get an opportunity to do that? If it's a 1% chance, I'm going for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run from that 1%.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where a lot of people kind of miss in life. Like, the chances aren't great, so I'm just not going to go for it.
Yes.
Do you know how many things I wouldn't have accomplished in my life if I would have taken that approach? You don't get anything done, right? So, yeah, that was kind of the knee thing, and then it was just like, okay, I knew this from the hip. I've known this from other knee injuries. I've known it from ribs, whatever. It's like, how fast can you get back moving? Because that's what speeds up the healing process. For me. That's what works for me. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what works for other people, but like, for me, that's what works.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I know I can get in the pool. Like, I know, if I can walk to my refrigerator, I can drive. I drove there with the hurt knee. Why can't I drive now? Drive to the rec center. I got a new membership down there. It's a really nice place. Why can't I get in the pool? Okay, I'm in the pool now. What can I do in the pool? And that mindset is what allowed, I'm swimming again. Yesterday I did squats in the pool. And I was so pumped about that. It sounds so silly, but like to do a zero gravity squat. But for me, it's like, oh, range of motion's there. Mobility's there. What can I do today? I'm excited to get out of here today and figure out like what else I can do. Does that mean I might push it too far and something else might happen? Yes, that's true. But what if, right? That's where my head's at.
I think the biggest fear for a lot of people getting injured is just that sedentary time and just all the dark thoughts that could creep up and feeling like a shadow of yourself. And I just love the fact that you're just like, no, we're just going to get back to it and we're going to do what we can do. Just gain that confidence back in yourself immediately.
I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me because I don't feel sorry for myself. Because the mindset isn't like, why did this happen to me? The mindset is, why did this happen for me? And so because that is the mindset, it's like, I don't feel sorry for myself one bit.
Yeah.
I have to take full accountability for that injury. There was no cheap shot. It was 100% on me. Like, all of it. So I don't feel sorry for myself. and people that have reached out and if the message has been somewhat depressing, like I apologize for not responding. Like I just read it and I'm like, yeah, I don't feel that way. So
Yeah, you're just not letting that enter your mindset right now.
no,
I mean, how many times did you attempt Rocky before you finished it?
twice,
It's not that dissimilar.
and both times I ended up crazy injured afterwards.
Yeah, I remember.
And the third time too, right? That was also the irony. You know what? A year ago, almost to the day, I was in the same hospital and that was right after Rocky with the leg.
Really?
Yeah, you guys
Man,
dropped
this
me
year's
off.
absolutely flown by.
You guys dropped me off and went and ordered food. I was like, I'll be home in no time.
Nope.
No. But it was almost a year to the day. And I didn't feel, I was like, dude, look what happened in the last year. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it's because of that mindset, right? That this year could have went a lot worse.
Dude, 100%.
So, for me, that's kind of just what's transpired. But I want to say this, and I said it a little bit before, and I think this is so important. That doesn't mean I don't have the negative thoughts. That doesn't mean I don't have moments where I'm like, this isn't great,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's what you do in those moments. That's what matters.
That's what defines you.
Yeah.
One of the things I didn't ask you was, so for the audience, so you do the 200 milers last year. Then you go into this transition where you're doing a lot of like bodybuilding style training, get yourself into amazing shape, finally taking a break from like the high cortisol stuff, getting in the best shape of your life. And then I start seeing you on social media training jiu-jitsu, and then you post for the fight. But I never really asked you, what kind of transpired in the fall to make you be like, all right, my Misogi or my Super Bowl is going to be this mixed martial arts pursuit.
Yeah. So what transpired was this. I don't know if you've ever come across people, and I was certainly one of them for a long time. I never ran away from a fight in my life. But I realized really quick that I'm like fighting in the street versus Joe Blow or 3 Joe Blows is a lot different than competing with someone who trains for that. And what happened was I went and rolled with Tim Kennedy at Gracie Umada in Cedar Park, and he ragdolled me like I was a child. Like it was like rolling or wrestling with a real life gorilla. And I was like, oh my God, I'm pitiful. Like it humbled me big time. And I was like, that's where I need to be. Anything that humbles me, running did the same thing in a big way, is where I want to put my time. Anything that makes me feel less than, that's where I want to invest my time because I want to grow in that. And that's what happened. I went and rolled with him and was literally just like, wow, like this is what it's like, right? It's like, because I was the guy that watched UFC and was like, yeah, I could probably go out there and do some stuff. No, I couldn't have. There's no way. You couldn't touch them. You can't touch them dudes. And you don't know that until you like, and he might have been going like 10% that day. It wasn't like he was out there trying, right? But I think that level of humbling is necessary as a man, because it was like, okay, I want to get better at this. And then you start paying attention and you realize like a lot of the guys that I follow or aspire to be, they have one thing in common. They all do jiu-jitsu or some type of fighting or combative. And I was like, oh, now I understand why. And so that's kind of what started that transition or shift. And then the day I went and rolled with Tim Kennedy up there, there was another guy I rolled with, and his name was John Nelson Griffith. And he was at that time probably like $180. And same thing, like just destroyed me. Like I was just like a fish out of water. Like you can't, it doesn't matter how strong you are. I know I'm stronger than him. It didn't matter. It didn't even really play a factor. And I followed him on Instagram that day, and I don't know. I was just kind of had this moment, and I guess it was like September, October, where I was like, yeah, like maybe this is something I could get into. Like just maybe, but I wanted to fight. I didn't want to, it wasn't even about jiu-jitsu. It was like, I want to fight. And so I just reached out to him and I was like, hey, would you mind, like spending some time together, maybe doing like, some like intro understanding of these different things. And he's like, yeah, of course. Like, so I went and did one session with him and I left that night. And this is kind of the same thing that happened with Ironman. I left that night after that session with him and immediately started looking up fights. And I was like, all right, when do I think I could do this? And I was like, July would be cool. And then it just so happened it was in Miami. There's a lot of history for me there. I lived there. You know, your bachelor party was there.
It's a great city.
So it's the best city. And then there's also other moments in my life that are connected to me that I wasn't there for that created pain in my life that happened in Miami. And so like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go rewrite it there. Like that's where it's going to happen. And the next time I met with him, which was like a week later, I was like, yeah, so I signed up for a fight. And he was kind of like, you could even tell he was like, okay. And he'll tell you to this day, like, that is not the way to go about it. Right. But even, you know, him and I have had this conversation numerous times now. He's like, honestly, if anyone else or someone else were to come to me and be like, I signed up for a fight, I need you to train me, and they didn't have like experience specifically in that, he's like, I'm not coaching them. He's like, but this is different. You know, he's like, so yeah, we're in.
Different because he believed that you would do everything he prescribed for you to do.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. The athletic background helps. The proof or receipts help of like, I mean, maybe someone can point some of this out, but like, I challenge anyone to find something in my past that I said I was going to do that I didn't go do. So if you do any digging at all, it's like, well, it doesn't matter what happens between now and July. I'm going to enter the octagon. I don't care if I got to roll in there in a wheelchair. Or, you know, I'll die. It's the whole ain't dead yet thing, right? It's like, well, I'm not dead yet. So it's like, I just keep going. And I think he kind of could resonate with that and he could see it in my eyes. And so it just became an obsession, just like anything else I'd ever done. And it just kind of has grown from there. It's one of my closest friends now. You know, up until this past Saturday, we were meeting 5 times a week for an hour and a half each time. And yeah, that's just kind of become the thing.
Probably knows more about you than friends you've had for 20 years.
100%. Well, he's because around him, the reality is I'm always vulnerable. And I'm always humbled. And that has helped shape me as a man in so many ways, right? It's like, if you spend an hour and a half a day with someone that you know could kill you in a moment's notice, it changes who you are, right? There's no ego with him. What am I going to do? He'd kill me 40 different ways in 5 seconds, right? And it's unreal to experience that and to feel that. And, you know, it's helped shape me as a man. Like I said, like I want to live in a world where that is the case, right? Where I'm trying to improve myself to the point where like maybe he kills me in 11 seconds versus 10. Okay, we got to 12 seconds this week. But it's those moments, right? That's what I keep going back to, keep saying it. But like those little wins. And they're not very often in that sport. At least they haven't been for me. There'll be moments like there's so many times where it's frustrating, right? Because he's like constantly pressing information. Like I'll learn a combo, like a 7-strike combo, and I'll feel good about it for a second, and then he'll add 2 things to the back of that, and I'll forget the first 3 strikes of the 7-series combo. And then immediately I'm beat down, right? But it's, what do you do in that moment?
Yeah.
You figure out, you just keep going, you just keep going, you just keep going. And then you drive home on that day and you're like, you're defeated. You know, you're like, God, I suck. You know, I can't figure this out. A week later, you're in there, though, and he doesn't even prep you for it, and then you throw this 9-series combo that you learned a week ago, and you're like, it hits, right? So it's literally about what you do in those moments. When you reflect on them, do you make something out of them or do you not? And for me, like, there's nothing to prove other than, like, I want to continue to show people that you can do anything from anywhere. It's always been about that. And I think God has kept me alive just for that reason. If I'm not pursuing that, then I'm wasting his time and everybody else's.
That's the sense that I get just viewing your content and the way that you've just kind of been documenting the journey that you've been on the last few months. Is I don't get the sense that you're trying to prove anyone wrong, spite anyone. I don't even get the sense of like anger. It seemed to me from the outside, without you even saying that, I'm like, there's kind of like just this healthier source of motivation where you just seem to be pushing yourself or just like genuinely doing it for a higher purpose. And that's kind of it.
Well, it goes to this. All right, so Nick Bear in my sobriety recovery journey, and Natasha and those people helped me from, like, the Ironman is what excited me. But what if there's a kid out there that's struggling that's 300 pounds and that he's like, screw that. That looks stupid. I want to fight. Well, what if I provide that lane, right? Because I've tried to provide the Ironman lane. Okay, we've proven that can happen. The 100-mile ultra lane, we've proven that can happen. The podcast lane, we've proven that can happen. The entrepreneurial lane, we've proven that could happen. What if now this is just the next thing?
Yeah.
And it just helps one person. And I invested, a year of my life into that to help one person? Yeah, let's do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because this isn't going to be it. That's also what I've come to accept. I don't know what's next. Doesn't matter really right now, but there will be something, and then we'll go do that too. Because what if that's the thing that connects with the one person who's struggling? I've understood over the course of time, like the last 5.5, coming up on 6 years in July, my purpose in life is to just provide a light. It doesn't have to be the biggest light. It's just a light, an avenue. And if one person takes it and it helps them, then it's worth it. I don't care. And that's been what it's been.
So it's almost just like giving more lanes to more people.
Yeah.
Like almost like more ways to just like cast your net to fish.
Yeah.
Pull people in.
And be uncomfortable doing it. And show your vulnerabilities. Like, here's how I think of it. Like, in that world of MMA, I'm like a tadpole, right? Like just a blip, or like plankton that fucking hang out on whales or whatever. Excuse my French. I have gotten better at cursing. I haven't done it much today.
Good.
But such an infant in that world. But I want to show that you can, like, maybe one day become like a fish, right? Same in ultra running. It was never to be the best. It was just to prove you can get there. And I think that that's sometimes all people need. And it's also like, how many times have you seen, like, I think back to 5 years ago, who was doing what and who's doing the same thing. That's boring for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to do the same. I don't want to be doing the same thing 5 years from now. I want it to be this other thing that's exciting and different. And it goes back to, like, living this life where when I punch out, did I maximize and do everything that I thought I wanted to do, or did I mentor and lead in all the different avenues or ways that I wanted to? And I feel like if I do the same thing, I can't do that.
Yeah. I think you see that a lot with the kind of like endurance or like even Ironman culture in Austin of, and maybe there's like a little bit of coping with that because I only did one and kind of moved on to other things. And I think there's that part of me that's like, hey, I'd probably love to do a second one and like really dedicate myself the right way and prove I could get a better time. But I do think you see a lot of these Ironman athletes that are, they're doing it as like an amateur pursuit, and you should be using it as this like avenue to make all these buckets of your life better.
Right.
But it's kind of like the pursuit of the Ironman is kind of like all consuming in their life, and they're probably letting these other buckets neglect. And that's something that I've personally taken a lot from you is I love the fact that you'll throw that one different type of Super Bowl on the calendar every single year. You get what you need, you keep progressing, you keep pushing it, and then you actually let it affect these other disciplines in your life even better. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't all consume you in a negative way. Like, you're doing it because, it should make you a better man, a better son, a better boyfriend, like better at your job. That's why we do these hard things. Like, we're amateurs at them.
To your point, and I've asked myself this question because people are like, dude, you should do another Ironman. And I'm like, well, okay, if I think about that, does that make me a better man? The answer is no, for me, right? Maybe it's different for somebody else. Mm-hmm. Does it increase my reach? No, right? It doesn't. I've already done it. And people don't like hearing this, but like, and I mean it with every fiber in my soul. They're like, well, just to prove you could do it again. Like, dude, I haven't. Here's what I know about myself. I haven't swam until 3 days ago in 3 years. I haven't ran in probably 6 months. And I haven't been on a tri bike since like the week after the Ironman. So I sold it. There's zero doubt in my mind if I got on a start line today that I wouldn't finish. I would finish it.
100%.
I don't need to know anything else. And if anybody wants to try that, we can do it. Like, I'm not afraid of it. I won't run away from it. It just doesn't make me a better man. Mm-hmm. And anybody who wants to go get in the pool right now, we can go get in the pool right now. I'll burn you on a bum knee. Like, I don't care. That's my mindset, though. So Ironman built the mindset. It built the iron mind,
Yeah.
right? I took that and I applied it to ultra. I don't care what anyone says. 100 miles is way harder than an Ironman.
100%.
So that bulletproofed my mind even more. And then showing up 8 weeks later, 7 weeks later, whatever it was, and doing it again, it bulletproofed my mind even more.
Mhm.
It was a stepping stone to like get to the place where I was like, okay, now I want to fight a man one-on-one that's trained for this and see what happens. I want to expose myself on that level. I don't know what that's going to provide. I don't know what the next thing is. I can only figure that out once I do this thing.
Mhm.
But to me, going and doing an Ironman is going backwards. I think if you're in it for content creation, you're beating a dead horse, dude. It's dried up. Like Nick Bear took care of that for everybody, right? He was the one, right? That was like, and then if you saw it, like a lot of people kind of pulled off that success for a while.
Mhm.
But like if you're just getting into that and that's the reason you're doing it, I don't know if that's the greatest route,
Yeah.
right? But if that's not the reason, then great, go do your thing. If you need to do it, I think it's almost become this thing people need to do in order to get validation, to get approval that they can do these other things
Mhm.
from their audience. Well, he hasn't done an Ironman, right? And it's so big here in Austin because, like, I think Nick Bear, but I don't, maybe I don't value it in the same way. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I'm not, it's the same thing as like like before we started this recording, we were talking about college athletics. I haven't talked about college athletics with anyone in I don't know how long or when. It doesn't matter. It's a thing that happened. It gave me the ability to show up and to get sober, maybe. That was
Yeah.
part of that. And then the Ironman and then these other things. But like, I'm not focused on that. We didn't even talked about it today, but like the reason I haven't been recording isn't because like I don't want to. I'm focused on the book. I'm trying to finish that, which is a whole different world for me. I'm a horrible author. Like I'm a tadpole in that world. I'm trying to write, and my English sucks, right? I cheated in college writing. Please don't take my diploma, but like, I didn't write the majority of those papers that I got C's on, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not good at it, but I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to grow at it. So it's like, how many positions can you put yourself in as a man to be uncomfortable where you're not good at it and continue to grow in them?
Yes.
Like, I don't care about shaving 8 minutes off an Ironman time. That doesn't make me better. Does it make them better? I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm confident that if you applied yourself and I applied myself, we could probably shave 2 hours off our time. But like,
For sure.
what does that ultimately lead to? Yeah. I'll have a lot of people, that are talking about training for these marathons and these races, and they'll be like, oh, you're not really a runner. And I feel like there's probably a little bit of that might be triggering to me in some ways. But at the same time, like, I felt like my endurance arc for me was kind of like 2017 through 2021, where I was just trying to prove that I wasn't this like out of shape kid that had ulcerative colitis that was binge drinking or whatever. Like, I took the most joy when I was living in New York City, and I used endurance as a gateway to transform myself physically. And I felt like all that momentum kind of powered me to Austin and was like the catalyst to start the brands that Harry and I are building now. And, I've done stuff where like, I did the Austin Marathon completely untrained 2 years ago. I did the 100K untrained. Like, I've still put myself back in that arena a little bit just to prove that I could suffer and still do these things. But who knows? Maybe I'll get a desire in the future to like really rip a marathon or something. But I feel like I got what I needed out of the sport, and now I'm trying to move on to other things and channel that into Noble or something else. Or like, I think a bodybuilding show for me is something that continues to come back. How cool that would be, especially before Dan and I start having kids, to just be like, hey, you took this time and got into the best shape of your life and put yourself on stage in your underwear, and you're vulnerable and you have abs and striations on your body that you've never had before. And I do feel like in a lot of ways I'm like mentally fat. So just being able to like forcibly deprive myself of those things that my flesh really wants would be cool. But yeah, that's kind of the way that I've compartmentalized my endurance journey and where I'm at now in my life. I don't know if that's relatable or helpful, but
Super relatable. Here's the question. Did God put you here for your identity to be a runner?
no.
Okay. Me neither. I don't think he did anybody. Maybe. I mean, you could maybe make that argument for like, okay, let's put it this way. Who are the most known people in the ultra running space?
It's like Matt Johnson, Zach Bitter, Courtney Dowalter,
Right.
Andy
Cam
Glaze.
Haynes,
Yeah.
David Goggins. I don't think, when I think of all of them, my mind doesn't go to their identity as a runner. Like David Goggins is not a runner. I don't care. It's like everyone's a runner. We're all runners. No. Like, we're not. David Goggins' identity isn't in running. He's a leader. He's a man, right? He's a motivator. He's these things that God put him here to do. Running is the avenue. It gave him that, right? The ability for people to follow. But like my identity, it wasn't in any of those things. My identity is, it's like you go to these people. I graduated with guys like, bro, 2012. You go to their Instagram bio and it was like former D1 Kent State football player. I'm like, bro, go do something.
Yeah.
Right? Or these people that, like, that's their bio, though. That's like what they are. Like, that's what they're doing. That's not who they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they did. It's not who they are.
Yes.
And so for me, my identity is rooted in, like, I want to be known as a man, right? Period. Man of God would be the best, right? But, like, what are the things that get me to the point where I know I'm doing the best at that? And maybe that's too simple for folks, but, like, that's where my head's at. I don't care. I don't care if I'm known as this athletic thing or this, an entrepreneur or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Just know I'll compete in any of those arenas.
Mm-hmm.
They don't scare me. And I think that's the trendy thing now, though. It's like, hybrid athlete was the thing for a long time.
Now it's high rocks.
Yeah, high rocks. Like, great. I don't, like, what? Like, it's an opportunity to, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to offend way too many people today, and I'm on a new page in life. Point is this, like, what you do isn't who you are, right? And if it is, you need to look at that, right? You need to look at that. It's the same as, like, when I was an addict. That doesn't mean, like, that's everything, right? It's just what I was doing.
Yeah.
What if I would have got stuck in that? I'd still be that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Why do you think that is? Because I knew that wasn't my identity, right? I think people get so caught up in what they're doing as their identity that they can't transform into anything else.
Definitely.
Not me.
Yeah, to your point, I would say the thing for me right now that I've been spending the most time on the last couple weeks is just viewing my identity as a beloved son of God, just like the apple of his eye.
Mm-hmm.
Started reading this book, one of John Eldridge's book. It's called, I'm blanking on the title, but it's basically like, using God to teach you the things that your dad could never teach you.
Mm.
And it talks a lot about how so many of us are really boys, or we have pieces of being a boy that are just trapped in a man's body. But really, like, seeing yourself as the apple of God's eye and just knowing, like, you literally have this father that's with you all the time, that loves you and doesn't view you as a podcaster or someone that competes in MMA or someone that has a supplement company. Like, you're just his son, and that's all he cares about, is, like, he wants you to know you and you to know him, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to ask your question, what brings you closer to God?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing something that gives me a ton of ego and makes me super proud, that pulls me further away from God.
100%.
If I'm doing something that makes me feel vulnerable and weak, I get closer to God. So if that's the goal, right, then you need to know that, and you need to put yourself in that environment. That's how I get closer to God. That's how I get closer to what he wants me to be, because what he wants me to be requires me to be close to him.
Yes.
If I'm far away from him, I can't be that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think getting caught in these identities of, like, okay, I'm a really good marathon runner, that's all I'm going to do. It creates a level of ego and comfort that doesn't allow you to get that close.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people struggle a lot of times with their faith, especially because, like, and Mel, I can't speak for everybody. I can speak for myself. I only know that, like, in these seasons of life, I'm closest to God when things aren't going well, or if I'm struggling, or if I'm vulnerable. That's when I'm closest to God.
Yes.
So why wouldn't I create that naturally? That's why the knee injury isn't that impactful. I was already in that place.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to run to find him. He was already there, and I was already there. So in that moment, I'm like, cool, we're here. You wanted me here. Like, what are we doing with it? This is awesome. That was the mindset. Whereas if I was doing something where I wasn't close to God and I didn't feel close to him, and something like this were to happen, it takes longer to get to the place where you're connected. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm just going to stay in that vulnerable place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that makes me less of a man. I think it makes me more of a man.
Totally.
So yeah, that's kind of what's transpired.
I think the hardest thing for God is trying to find the heart of a guy that's rich and successful by worldly measures because you've proven that you don't need him. I think I think God loves us in the wilderness and wants us to find him in the wilderness. And the wilderness could be, dislocated knee, financial hardship, a messy breakup, whatever, because that's when you're most likely to be dependent. And then like you become dependent, you do the things he wants you to do, and then you get the success. And then the test is like, can I keep that dependent mindset even when things are going really, really well?
Yeah.
Like he loves the wilderness.
I think so. And I agree. I think that we've talked about this before too. And there's a scripture, but I say it in a very Virginia way, I guess. More or less like I humble myself so God doesn't have to. That doesn't mean he won't still, obviously, but it's less impactful, I guess I would say, is because I've been putting myself in that position, right? Like I said this in the post, and I know that like anybody that really knows me, like people might watch those posts and be like, oh, he's just putting on a show. Like, no, I really feel that way. Like I'm excited for what's next. I'm thrilled. I don't know what it's going to be. I do know a weakness in my MMA game was fighting off the bottom. Well, guess what? I get an opportunity to learn. I'm going to spend a lot of time on my back now, fighting from the bottom because I can't apply that much top pressure. So it's like, cool, that's what we're going to learn.
Yeah.
It's what you do in those moments, though, I think, is what all this keeps boiling back to for me. What I do want to ask you, though, is like, we've got a little bit of time left. What would you say for yourself right now is like the thing you're struggling with the most?
That's a good question. I would say just being in this season of life where I've been married for 7 months, knowing that my wife and I want to have kids sooner than later, trying to give my wife the best version of myself while also trying to kind of force of will this company into being something great. There's so much, I think there's just so much risk there's so much risk in what we're doing. And I just have so much of my own finances and personal net worth tied in the business. I don't know if it's the devil or myself. He definitely like beats me over the head with these feelings of just like inadequacy and are you fit to, lead a family? Are you financially fit enough to be a father and all this kind of stuff? I would say that's probably what I struggle with the most is because I think I always had this vision of being further along than I am at 31. And I think a lot of ways I'm way further along than that, but I definitely still fight with this just kind of like just these internal demons of just being like it just sometimes in these dark moments when I'm by myself, just like, you're not good enough, you're not adequate, you're lazy, you're a sluggard, just stuff like that. And I know that those thoughts are not from God. Those are my own thoughts or things that I've absorbed from the world or whatever. But I think it's going to be a great story to tell to be able to prove to my own kids that I flipped those thoughts upside down. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't working through that actively because I definitely am right now.
Yeah, no, I love that. But that's what I think a lot of people just don't see.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand that you have to combat all of these thoughts every single moment, and then the next moment, and then the next moment. Like they don't stop showing up.
Yeah,
it's what you do with them. It's like, okay, I have to turn this into something. I have to do something with this because anybody who's obsessive in any lane, and I think anybody who's great is obsessive on some level. People don't realize, like, and maybe a lot of them do, but like a lot of people don't realize how quickly those obsessive thoughts can go real bad. And then all of a sudden you're like, for you in business, a 2-hour time frame where you have negative obsessive thoughts can set you back 5 days, 5 weeks.
Easy.
So that's the cost.
Yes.
Right. And I think that, business is so much different than fitness in that way. Right. If I have a bad meal, it doesn't necessarily set me back 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a bad day in business, it could easily set me back or it could ruin the business. Like that's the reality of that pressure.
Yes.
Very different. And so, no, I want to commend you because like how we said when we started this, like I know what you're focused on right now. It's Noble and your family that you're building. And then obviously your relationship with God, and that's tied into all of that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing. But, you're doing it. and I know you're doing it because I don't see any of you or hear anything of you. Like, I know that's the world you're in.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's pretty, right? Or
It's a little
perfect.
ugly.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be a little ugly
Yeah,
too.
for sure. It's part of the story.
Yes.
It's part of that story. But again, it's what story do you want to tell,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think Rogan said this a long time ago, man. It always kind of stuck with me, and I'm gonna paraphrase it. I'm sure I'm gonna mess it up, but it's like, imagine you have a film crew following you around 24/7. Like, what would you do? How would you be? And like, your life is on full display. I have to go there sometimes, even, and that sounds crazy, but it's like, okay, well, what do I really want to do in this moment if that were the case?
Yes.
Would I, that doesn't mean sometimes I don't dip into the barbecue dots and eat the whole bag, right? That happens.
You need that.
Dude, they're so good. Can't go down that rabbit hole.
And the secret is like, okay, dude, you dipped into the dots or you had a crappy day at the office or whatever. I'm just going to try and get 7 hours of sleep. I'm just going to wake up, and then it's literally just a blank slate, and not carry that with me into the next day. And like,
For sure.
dude, sometimes I've been trying to force myself to like do more like compartmentalization and kind of like reflecting on my day and being like prouder of myself for things that I maybe like would have looked over in the past. But dude, some of my proudest moments are like, hey, I felt like I got kicked in the teeth at work, but I didn't bring that stuff home to my wife. Like, I still just showed up and was able to pour into her. And then I definitely have those nights where I just want to melt on the couch and watch Netflix and fall asleep down there. But like, it's all shifting towards like, no, I was still able to show up and give her the best version of myself, and then actually being proud of that.
Well, the other thing you have to remember too is like, if you would have known, again, 5 years ago, that you would be with the woman that God destined you to be with, building a family with her,
Mm-hmm.
and then building this supplement company with one of your closest friends, and doing that, like, that is your life, you would be so proud.
I'd
Be
give
like,
anything for it.
right. That's
6 years ago.
That's what we have to remember.
Anything.
Anything.
Just like you.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'm here.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm here. I have to remember I'm here, and I think that that's something that's really difficult to do, because it's the obsession with growth. It's like, well, I'm not seeing the returns that I got, because what you have to remember too is like, your returns on something early on are massive, right? When you first start losing weight,
bro.
when you first start lifting weights, when you first start the business and you get your first investor,
Mm-hmm.
like, those returns are massive. You're like, oh, it's so exciting. Those things slow down, right? And it takes more fine-tuning and more fine-tuning and more grinding just to get little wins, right? But you have to remember, like, this is just where it's at in the process.
Yes.
And that can be a hard thing to do. I still struggle in that too. I think that, for me to lose 4 pounds now is a lot different than losing 4 pounds in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks, right? It didn't suck as much then.
Yes.
So it's the same. It's about what scale you want to apply that on, but I don't know. I still look at you and I'm like, here's what's funny. Think about it this way. I think that you value my opinion on some level, right?
Of course.
If anyone in the world asks me what the best protein in the world is, I don't say BPN, I don't say First Form, I don't say GNC, I don't say any of these. It's Noble, period. And here's why. I can afford any protein powder I want. If I have to pay for one, I'm only buying Noble.
100%.
Period. So you have the best product. That isn't me gassing you up. I'd tell you if it was trash. It's what I love. It's what the people close to me love. It's what you guys have built. Just the whole world hasn't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You're just waiting. I'm not going to say it, but like, we've talked about this. What it's really waiting on is the right person, and it's going to blow, dude.
Yes.
Because it's that good. It's that product. But what God is doing is setting you up to put you in a place where you're ready to receive that.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're doing right now. You're just dialing it in.
Just dialing it in.
Yeah.
And just building this like foundation that actually can receive it.
Right.
Because it's like, if if Rogan started promoting it from month 2, I wouldn't have like the character and the fiber to really be able to support that as a man at the time.
Right.
I had to go through the last 3 years to get to this point, just like you had to do your own version of that. And I genuinely appreciate just how much you use it, how much you've spread it. I mean, dude, you've gotten so many incredible people on the train. And I also know that's the beauty of having you as a friend, where like you would have tried it, obviously. Like our friendship would have gotten us in at bat, but you would give me the real feedback. If you didn't like it, you would be using BPN or any of these other brands you used to use before.
I'm going to put whatever's best in my body.
100%.
Like, I'm not going to put trash in my body because you're my friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's like doing drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put the best thing that's on the market in my body. And I haven't found anything better.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying to you is like, you've already got the thing. It's just fine tuning it. Like, it's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not these massive changes, these little incremental things.
Just these little tweaks every day.
Yeah, that's it. So it's coming. It's coming for you in a big way.
Dude, I hope this conversation just gives whoever's listening to this a little bit of juice to like, dude, there's so much of the year left too, to just flip the script.
Well, I think that's the beauty in all of this is like, I've had so many opportunities in my journey to flip the script and make the change and do the thing and do, blah, 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 blah. But I think back to like this time last year specifically. And like, if you would have told me this time last year, we would be sitting here and having this conversation about the things we're talking about, dude, yeah, let's go. Right? Or my life would be what it is today.
Yes.
Let's go. Same with you, I'm sure.
100%.
Let's go. So like but it's because of the moments that led up to this, right? It's like the decision was made in the moments that led up to this. And that doesn't mean that they're like 80% of those days sucked. They sucked. But there was moments in those 80% of the days where like, okay, there's enough here where I can keep going. There's enough evidence. There's enough proof. Well, I look back at it now, I'm glad I took every single one of them.
Dude, 100%.
So, I mean, I think that, again, like whatever it is that you're feeling or dealing, like you're not alone in any of that. Even people from the outside looking in, you're like, well, it must be nice to be that happy about a blown knee. I mean, yeah, it does feel good to be like I wouldn't have felt this if I'd have blown it last year this time. This would not be the same.
Absolutely not.
This would not be the same.
No chance.
But again, it happens when it needs to happen because you're ready for it, and then it's what you do with it that gets you to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I don't know. I've loved this conversation. It's been awesome to sit down. Dude,
it's been like a breath of fresh air, man. I appreciate you. Proud of you. Dude, thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, of course.
My favorite.
Yeah, I think that it needs to happen like quarterly. We've talked about this. It kind of does anyways. It takes care of itself.
Yeah, it does.
But no, I mean, I've missed you, of course, but I'm proud of you. So.
Likewise, bro. Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I love you, man. That's going to wrap for today's episode of the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. Just for a release schedule so everyone's aware, my full intentions until I finish the book is to release one podcast a month. That's going to be the schedule. That's what I want to do. I think that's when we can deliver the best conversation and the best content. I don't want to just have a different guest on every single week just to be able to publish every single week. We did that. We accomplished it. We've proven we can do it. I just don't see that being the best of what we have to offer. So moving forward, it's going to be until the book's finished, expect one podcast per month. That's where we're at.
Love that, bro.
All right. I love you guys. Again, that's going to wrap it for today's episode of the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. We'll see you soon. Bye.